So I had a feeling that when I saw who was speaking, that they will talk about the conceptual level of sustainability and the importance of preserving the environment. So I thought, being the business guy, to talk about the business aspect of things, which makes it difficult for this country to take the steps that even the well-intentioned people want to. And so I do clinical waste management, and I've been in this industry for 5 years, and I've been trying to diversify the waste streams that I've been doing. In fact, that's why a lot of faces here are familiar. But over these 5 years, I've identified 3 aspects on a very high level as to why this country cannot move past. So which is why I would like to kind of say my speech today is about surging past the waste. So the first part of this circle that I think is knowledge. Put it in a diagram like this, it seems, yeah, duh, how can you do things without knowledge? But it's harder than you think, especially when it comes to something that is not black and white, something where the answer is not so straightforward. And I would like to give you that example using a personal experience that I went through. So after I came back from Sri Lanka, I started this, from New York, I started this company, passionate, let's fix the country. And I signed the agreement with the ministry in 2014. What I didn't know was the government also signed another agreement, same month, December 2014, with an Australian project. We were supposed to clean up Colombo, Western Province, Southern Province, and Central Province. And then the other agreement was going to be All Island. And I was like, wait, hold on. We are also part of All Island. How is this planning? This is a fundamental issue that we have when it comes to project design, planning, and execution. And it's fundamentals like that. So the other thing is, obviously, I was a private investor. But the government decided to borrow $18 million to do what I was doing with 200 million rupees from Australia to do the same thing. And what I couldn't understand is not just this government, but the previous government was also trying to promote private investment. Here, the naive young guy from New York was thinking, hey, I'm doing the right thing. And obviously, so part of my learning was also how to do the business in Sri Lanka, right? So when I dove into this and figured it out, it was simply 2 committees not talking. I mean, they were in the same building. One was on the left-hand side, and the other one was on the right-hand side. They were not talking. They were not doing joint feasibilities. They were not basically trying to put the 2 together. So the conclusion is lack of knowledge in how to actually execute a project in this short timeline that we need to achieve the results we want to. So then the second cycle is resources. Again, put it in a simple diagram like this, and everybody's like, duh. But again, it's a little harder than you think. And again, I would like to to kind of explain this using examples, real-life examples that has happened in Sri Lanka. As you know, there are 3 waste-to-energy projects that have been awarded. And I think we are all very excited to see these come to life, ... Right? But there's one out of these 3, which is plasma gasification. I do not understand how this went past technical evaluation. You don't even need to be an expert. You can be just a well-read person and actually challenge your audience to Google a plasma gasification plant that is financially viable, installed anywhere in the world with waste characteristics like ours, South Asian waste. If you can tell me that, I will have to eat, obviously, humble pie, but apart from that, I don't know how they pass technical evaluation. Similarly, there was another tender that was floated by another government authority that basically said, look, we want you to find a waste management solution, but we will not commit to the calorific waste value or the waste compositional analysis. For people who don't know what that means or what that signifies in the waste industry, that's like being at a car auction, bidding for a car that's behind a black curtain, and they're not telling you whether it's a Maruti or a Benz. And they're just saying, hey, find a solution. You're setting yourself up to fail. You're setting yourself up to fail because you don't have the right resources at the right time, at the right places, to make the necessary steps that is needed for the private sector, in my case, to take on this responsibility back to the country, back to the people. Right? So then obviously the final part of it is finances. So yeah, again, in the circle, very simple. But if you take a look at the world in where waste management works, I like to simplify things, so I call it two things, either the Singaporean way or the German way. The Singaporean way looks at it one way: subsidize the crap out of waste management and make the waste management company profitable, you take care of the problem. And it works for them right now, because they have money. Sri Lanka doesn't. And we experience that even today, because the CEB right now is having issues paying that additional tariff of 36 rupees 20, please correct me if I'm wrong, my distinguished colleagues, because they don't have the money. So then, for me, it's a no-brainer, because I look at the German way. The German way is creating a school of waste management providers that specialize in their own waste streams. One can be a plastic recycler. One can be like me, clinical waste. One can be something to do with the bio-waste. Finding things to make where basically the government reduces its responsibility of having to spend 100% on the national waste output. Instead, by creating this pool of smaller waste management companies, or this pool, you can say, what you're doing is you only have to take care of the residual 15% that will be left behind that nobody can do anything about. And that is significantly much less. So it's a no-brainer, obviously, for me. But then the question is, the German way, unfortunately, requires more planning, which requires better resources, which goes back to my circle. So then my question is, how do we connect the dots? That's the question I would like to leave with you today. Because honestly, I don't have the answer to this. I'm still in my journey. But the sooner we can find this out as the government, as the business, and as a consumer, do we find the answers to which the first two speakers spoke about. Thank you.